Hello guys and girls, this is V and you're watching Movies Hunter. So, I recently came across another Korean action drama romance film released in 2015 called Empire of Lust. I must admit, Koreans are really creative when it comes to historical drama films, as you'll kind of get to experience everything from drama to romance to action to adventure and, just a little bit of everything. So, as per the intro, the Joseon dynasty was in trouble because of continuous foreign intrusions and most importantly, the issue of proclaiming the crown prince. And all of this happened in just 7 years after the establishment of the dynasty. Kim Min-jae, a brilliant general, protects the borders of the kingdom by stopping intruders using all means. After defeating all the enemies, Min-jae returns to the kingdom and is praised by King Tae-ju for his bravery. All hail Kim Min-jae! He then goes to see Prince Bang-woon, who is the eldest son of King Tae-ju. Bang-woon tells him that the youngest born son of his stepmother has become the crown prince. Although Bang-woon played a major role in the establishment of the dynasty, he is ignored by his father for some reason. But Min-jae has no interest in war anymore and just wants to retire. But his father-in-law and army general Jo-jun tells Min-jae that he is appointed as the commander of the great Joseon army. Min-jae has a son named Jin who is married to King Tae-jo's daughter, which explains why the king has a soft spot for Min-jae. Min-jae then joins Bang-woon for a feast. There he comes across Ga-hee, who impresses everyone with her magnificent dance moves. In Korea, people like Ga-hee are women from outcast or slave families who were trained in the arts of poetry, dance, music, culture, and politics. Basically, their sole purpose was to entertain noblemen and royalty of the dynasty. Her dance reminds Min-jae of his mother, who too used to dance just like Ga-hee. A drunk nobleman then tries to force himself on Ga-hee, but she pushes him off. So the nobleman draws his sword and humiliates Ga-hee by tearing her clothes. Fuck the nobleman, but Min-jae comes to her rescue and shoos away the drunk idiot. Ga-hee then tells Min-jae that since he saved her, she needs to reward him by offering her body, as it is kind of their tradition. But Min-jae politely refuses, saying that he cannot do it, as it's not right. While sleeping, he gets a dream of his mother, who was forced by some men in the past. Because of this, his mother killed herself in shame. This is why Min-jae respects women and can't stand anyone taking advantage of them. Days later, Min-jae is officially appointed as the commander of the entire Joseon army. I still don't know if I'm pronouncing it right. And basically, his main responsibility is to protect the king and the crown prince. Min-jae decides to take Ga-hee as his concubine, and so the two get romantic. When Jin learns about this, he goes straight to meet Ga-hee. It turns out that they both know each other very well and have some kind of history, which we will know soon enough. Ga-hee was faking being an innocent woman, and she has some hidden vendetta against Min-jae's family. On top of that, she is working with Bang-woon, and they are planning to dethrone the king after getting rid of Min-jae. In the flashback, we learn that Ga-hee used to be a commoner who sold vegetables in the market. But she, however, caught the attention of Jin, who then brutally forced himself on her. When Jin's mother learned about this, she ordered her men to assassinate Ga-hee to avoid public humiliation. But the assassin mistook Ga-hee's mother for Ga-hee and killed her by burning down the house. It is also revealed that Jin is not the biological son of Min-jae and was born because of Jin's mother's affair with another man. Despite this, Min-jae loves Jin as his own son and takes care of him. But he doesn't know the true nature of Jin, who has taken advantage of many women in the past. One day, Min-jae asks Ga-hee if she informed her mother that she moved in with Min-jae. Ga-hee replies, "My mom is dead," but she doesn't tell him how. After hearing this, Min-jae rides to the top of a hill with Ga-hee, where he pays his respect to Ga-hee's mother. Ga-hee is moved by this and is beginning to feel affection for him. I can sense a plan getting ruined. Later on, Min-jae tells Ga-hee that although he can't give her everything, he promises that he will protect her from the world, even if it means sacrificing his own life. All the members of the royal court fear that Bang-woon is planning to usurp the throne for himself. So before he makes his move, Jin and the other noblemen decide to assassinate Bang-woon on the day of the festival. But Bang-woon knows about their plan and comes up with a counter plan with the help of Ga-hee. But deep down, Ga-hee is confused as she doesn't want to betray Min-jae, who is the only man who ever cared for her. But on the other hand, she also needs to take revenge for her mom's death. To get her revenge, she even slept with Bang-woon and made her way to becoming Min-jae's concubine. So on the day of the festival, Ga-hee writes to Jin and tells him to meet her later that night. So Jin doesn't waste any time and runs straight to her. But just as he is about to force himself on her, he gets caught. Meanwhile, Min Jae waits with his army for Bang Woon to attack. When Bang Woon arrives with his army, both parties begin fighting. Bang, bang, bang. Bang Woon then rushes to the king and tells him that Jun and Min Jae were plotting to dethrone King Taeju. On top of that, he also reveals Jin's adultery to everyone. As proof, he even brings in Jin and Ka-hee, who were caught red-handed. It turns out that it was Jin's wife who caught them red-handed. Moments ago, Ka-hee wrote a letter to Jin's wife, asking her to meet her in the warehouse as she wanted to show her the true face of Jin. Ka-hee then requests the princess to spare Min Jae's life, and says that this was the only way to save his life. So the princess tells everything to the king, who then realizes that this is all part of Bang Woon's grand plan. As requested by the princess, the king decides to spare Min Jae's life. In return, he orders Min Jae to kill Ka-hee secretly at night, as he doesn't want anyone else to know what happened tonight. So anyway, Min Jae has no choice but to kill Ka-hee and prove his loyalty to the king. It's heartbreaking, but anyway. Min Jae figures out that Ka-hee and Bang Woon planned together to destroy his family. She used him to get revenge for her mother. Ka-hee tells him that she is not afraid of death, as she knew from the beginning that she is going to die. Her only sin was that she was born a low-class peasant girl, which is why she was denied justice, even after being forced by Jin. So she planned to become Min Jae's concubine and frame Jin, as forcing her father's concubine is punishable by death. Now, a devastated Min Jae asks Ka-hee if she ever loved him, to which Ka-hee replies, "I only cared about revenge." But Min Jae knows that she is lying, or else she would have never asked the princess to spare his life. Min Jae expresses his love for her and decides to run away with her. Bang Woon seizes the opportunity and pledges loyalty to his father, saying that he will take care of everything now. Meanwhile, Jin denies all the allegations and assures his wife that he never cheated on her. The princess seems to believe him and pours him a cup of tea. But soon after drinking it, Jin starts vomiting blood. It turns out that the princess has poisoned her husband. She says that she gave him one more chance to tell her the truth, but he still chose to lie. Min Jae and Ka-hee make their way to the port while the army is chasing after them. So Min Jae decides to stay back and tells Ka-hee to leave without him. He then tries to stop the soldiers as long as he can. Despite being stabbed numerous times, Min Jae kills all the soldier boys and fulfills his promise of protecting Ka-hee. Bang Woon draws his bow and shoots an arrow at Min Jae. But before the arrow could hit him, Min Jae falls into the river after losing consciousness. Ka-hee also joins him and the two embrace each other as they drown in the depths of the river. Even after searching the river for several hours, Bang Woon and his men couldn't find the bodies. So Bang Woon orders his men to make sure that Min Jae and his family are omitted from all royal records so that no one in the future will ever know about Min Jae and his legacy. In the year 1400, Bang Woon eventually ascended to the throne and became Joseon Dynasty's third king, Sejong the Great, aka Bang Woon I. And so this was the story of Empire of Lust. Subscribe, tell me your thoughts, talk to me. Click like, and I'm gonna see you in the next hunt.